Hello everyone and welcome back to more Root Double. Watasi began searching the block by himself, but he didn't find Yuri or any of the other survivors in the rooms. Time was passing by and he still hadn't secured any more AD. He figured he should go to the factory, meet up with Yukita and the others. But just as he thought that, the PC monitor in the room suddenly caught Watasi's eye. He hadn't noticed it the last time he'd been there. The monitor was still on, and it appeared the PC was frozen. On the screen was what appeared to be a text file that someone had been editing. Subject A, hereditary IGF2R gene abnormality, type S to C. Interesting. A lot of testing there. Irradiation testing, Nothing he saw on that screen meant anything to Watasi. And yet he felt a mysterious chill run through him the moment he saw all those entries for some reason. Is that what they were there for? The civilians? Test subjects? At that exact moment he muttered that, strange images flicked through Watasi's brain. He didn't recognize any of those images. Perhaps they were remnants of his memories of the past. But they were accompanied by intense fear and unpleasant feelings that assaulted him. He didn't know why, but just being there was terrifying and made him disgusted enough to throw up. Watasi left the room as if he were running away from it. I've felt this before. He headed for the stairwell as he pondered what that was. As he descended the rope, he slowly began to realize it. It was very recently, wasn't it? No, a bit earlier than that. He searched for the truth behind his fear, and then he finally remembered just as he descended the rope. It was when he'd entered the contaminated zone to look for Yuri after she'd run off. You remember her saying that? That's right, now that I think about it. Yuri said something strange back then. He'd felt the same strange sense of dread back then for some reason. Why had he forgotten about it until now? Shocked, Watasi watched as the Yuri in his memory spoke.
Yuri, 何を言っているんだ。
あなたにわからないんだったら、私にもわかりません。私にはもう何もわからないんです。だからお願いです。隊長さん、教えてください。あなたの心を。
Yuri said that and turned her palm toward Watasi. A strange image spread out right before him. The sight overlapped with Yuri. That was right. Yuri had indeed said all that. He'd completely forgotten about that encounter with her, even though it only happened about an hour ago. He thought about it, then suddenly gasped after a few seconds. Could it be that my memory impairment isn't actually healing with time, but only getting worse? Watasi shuddered at that thought. But that wasn't the only thing that horrified him. It was also the fact Watasi had felt a clear fear for Yuri in that memory he just recovered. Why would I ever be scared of Yuri? Just then, even more incomprehensible words passed through Watasi's brain as if to only confuse him further. Test tube subjects. Our test subjects are dangerous. What the hell was that? What the hell were those words? I don't know them. I've never heard those words before. Watasi drowned out those words along with the unpleasant feelings he felt. Now, fearing the darkness and seeking light, he opened the door to the stairwell. Oh. Uh-oh. But when faint light shone in from the outside, Watasi felt a horrible shiver down his spine. He got the feeling that in the shadow of the debris of the emergency staircase, a blind spot that he hadn't paid attention to in climbing. Something was hiding.
誰だ
His heartbeat skyrocketed.
誰だ
It appeared to be lying on the floor. Watasi timidly peeked behind the shadow of the debris and found himself face to face with an unbelievable sight.
そんな
Watasi's voice sounded empty. A small body lying on the ground. Eyes that had lost all light. Watasi saw all of that.
ユーリ
Oh no, she's dead. Maybe. Oh no. She didn't respond even after he'd called her name. Her body didn't twitch. A single streak of dark red blood adorned her pale face. That blood had long since gone dry. Watasi ran over to her. All the fear he'd been feeling a short time ago vanished in an instant.
ユーリユーリ
He sat Yuri up as he shouted her name, but her head dangled feebly. She wasn't breathing. Her body had gone cold. That was, without a doubt, Yuri's corpse.
バカなどうしてこんなことに
There was no one who could answer that question. Watasi instinctively held Yuri's ice-cold body close to his chest. And at that moment, memories of her passed through his head.
止まるな彼女を助けろ
He heard that voice in his head when he'd first seen her. It was at that moment that Watasi had decided to do everything he could to protect her.
それでそっちのお嬢ちゃんの名前は
But she was wary of him at first, preventing them from reaching a mutual understanding. Yet despite that, she started opening her heart to him little by little. Watasi acted all in accordance with his desire to keep her safe.
隊長さんはいつも私を気にかけてくれているみたいですけど、どうしてなんですか？
初めて会った時から不思議なくらいお前を助けたいって気持ちが強くあったんだよ。
Those had been Watasi's honest feelings. Thus, when the factory's ceiling collapsed, Watasi acted without a moment's hesitation.
隊長さん
ユーリ安心しろ絶対にお前を助けてやるからな
He kept trying to protect her no matter what was thrown his way. He tried to escape the facility so he could get her out to safety. But she'd run away. Then Watasi had led her out of his sight because of some incomprehensible fear he'd felt for her. And now he'd finally found her again. Only to discover that the Yuri he'd last seen was gone forever. Why? Just when she was finally starting to open up to me a little. Fierce regret raged within him. Sorrow then filled his heart. The sound of a watch's hands ticking filled the otherwise silent room. And thus, before she could ever tell Watasi anything about what she'd meant back then, the source of his fear for her and what she'd been feeling about him the whole time, Yuri had fallen into eternal silence. Oh good, no game over. Watasi was in a daze for a while. He had no clue how long he'd been like that. Soon enough.
おいお前しっかりしろ
She's dead, man. And with it, my last hopes of answers.
いつまで呆然としてるんだ 早くみんなのところに行け。
Oh, you're right. I should get back to the others. Mutasi finally came back to his senses after hearing the not familiar auditory hallucination. He realized he'd been strolling like a zombie through the inner ring's hallways without even being aware of it. He turned around and saw the door to the stairwell behind him. That's right, I have to tell everyone what happened, no matter how painful that may be. Mutasi muttered his nearly torn heart and headed for the factory. When he got there, he found June, Ina, and Yukida.
あ、隊長。どうしたの？そんな青白い顔して。
Bad news. Yukida looked at his watch and spoke.
ずいぶん時間がかかったな。何かあったのかね。
Mutasi answered in a shaky voice.
みんな落ち着いて聞いてくれ。ユーリが死んでる。
何？
Everyone's eyes widened.
バカな。彼女が死んでるだと？
事故？他殺？
We don't know.
わからん。だが本当だ。あの子の死体を見つけたんだ。
どこで見つけたの？
来てくれ。こっちだ。
Mutasi took the others with him and headed back for the stairwell in the inner ring.
ここだ。
Mutasi stopped in front of the stairwell. His companions all gulped.
ここにユーリさんが。
開けるぞ。
Mutasi paused as he felt cold sweat roll down his back, and then opened the door. But there was nothing there. Nothing but the wreckage of the collapsed staircase.
どこに死体があるというのかね。
There was. Yuki and the others looked puzzled. By the time Mutasi could speak again, his voice was leaden with disbelief.
そんなバカな。
Mutasi searched the cramped stairwell, but he couldn't find the body no matter how hard he looked.
死体がなくなってる。
You could have let out an exasperated sigh when you heard that.
やれやれ。幻覚でも見たのではないのかね。
本当なんだ。本当にここに死体が。頭から血も流してどう見ても死んでいる彼女が。
血？どこにも血痕なんかないわよ。
Mutasi was rendered speechless at that. He just confirmed with his own eyes that there were indeed no body or blood stains anywhere to be found.
あるはずの死体がないというのなら、そもそも君の認識自体がおかしかったのではないのかね。
何？
君は記憶障害を起こすほど頭を強く打っている。脳に何らかの障害が出ているのでは。
Mutasi felt shivers down his spine, for Yukida's theory made total sense. Did that mean that the auditory hallucinations he'd been hearing for the past few hours and his constant headaches and nausea were the results of brain damage? To make matters worse, he'd also been suffering from radiation damage on top of that. That can't help. Has my brain been damaged past the point of no return? Mutasi desperately tried to find another plausible explanation for everything, but I can't think of anything. In the first place, he didn't even have any clue why he had amnesia to begin with or what had happened before he lost his memories. Meaning that thinking about his condition wouldn't help him at all. Shit. If only I could remember what the situation just before I lost my memories was like. If only I could remember what happened a few hours ago. I might be able to finally answer some of my questions. Like the truth behind my condition or what's happening in this facility today. Felt like he was totally lacking in the knowledge he needed to understand all that. Just then, Yukida's voice interrupted his thoughts.
聞いているのかね、隊長さん。
Mutasi gritted his teeth and mustered a response.
いや、ちょっと待ってくれ。やっぱりこんなの納得できん。
納得できないだと？
ユーリの死体に見えたが、彼女は生きていたのかもしれない。きっとあの後、息を吹き返し、どこかに行ってしまったんだ。
そんなことってあると思う？ほんの数分の間の出来事でしょ？
I don't know, but this is getting creepy. A lot of unanswered questions. And I'll see you guys next time on more Root Double. Take it easy.